So on TikTok, there's this big conversation on do black people tip and are black people horrible tippers and just unpleasant to serve. And a lot of other black servers on TikTok have actually been pushing the agenda that black people do not tip well and that we are unpleasant to serve. And there's been hundreds of videos, but these are the ones that I gather. And I want to know what you guys think about this stereotype on black people don't tip. And I'll also share some of my experiences after this video plays. All right, guys, I'm gonna let this play and then I'll get back to you with more commentary.
Black people not tipping, and as a black male who served tables for 3 years, I can honestly say that that post is not a lie, bro. Black people don't tip, bro. Like, when I started off, I tried to give everybody the same service and take care of people the same way and expect the same thing from everybody, regardless of race, just because I'm like, bro, I don't know, I can't judge somebody off of first glance. But after constantly not getting tipped after giving great service, and I know everybody think they gave great service. I used to give great service when I was an amazing server. And after constantly giving great service and getting stiffed every single time from black people, I'm not gonna lie just because I'm black and say black people tip. One time I had a party of 31 and got $8 that I served by myself. I got $8 out of that table. From then on, bro, that showed me black people don't tip. And it's because most black people don't grow up with people around them who tip. I didn't see my parents tip ever. I didn't learn about tipping until I started serving. So that's just what it is, bro. You can't deny, you can't hate on it. That's just the facts, bro. Most of the time, black people do not tip, especially if you're another black person.
Was a waitress for quite some time, and I will say that black tables do not tip. We can sit here and dilly-dally and say, like, oh, black people, we definitely tip. There's always going to be the exception to the rule. Like myself, I'm a black woman. I will tip when I'm dining out at the minimum 20%. But a lot of black people will leave like $5 on a $100 bill, $5 on a $200 bill. If the bill's $10, they act like they shouldn't tip anything because they're like, oh, well, that person didn't do anything special. Like, what do you want them to do? Spit fire and juggle quarters? Like, what are you expecting? Like, what? You know, when you go out to dine, the expectation is service and then tip. And then I feel like a lot of black people will run you ragged and then don't want to give you anything. And then some people use the little lame excuse that, oh, well, people come in with the notion and the bad attitude that black people aren't going to tip. I'm like, a lot of people some people may, but a lot of the times people try not to be prejudiced, and time and time again, they get stiffed on the tip. Then we'll let another video play, and then I'm going to give more insight to what I'm talking about.
I just saw this woman post about being a server and how black people don't tip. And let's really talk about it because I don't understand. I was a server for 2 years, one at the worst restaurant in the face of this earth. It's called World of Beer, just terrible. And then at an extraordinarily nice white tablecloth restaurant. Like, people have been known to get $1,000 tips at this restaurant. It's really nice, and our service is fantastic. I've eaten at a lot of places, and our service was by far the best. But I'll say, I guess 60% of the black people who would come in just either would not tip or they tip so poorly, and I could never understand. One of my first nights, I had this woman come in. She came in and started eating. Then a man came and joined her, and he ended up paying. The bill was $70. He left me $1.65. I was like, really? That same day, I was working lunch, and I had a man who was having a business meeting with like 2 guys. All they did was get some sandwiches and some coffee, and then they left. The main guy stayed, and he sat for a few minutes, maybe 15, and then the bill was $90, and he tipped me $90. Also, in order to seem less racist, we would refer to black people in the restaurant as Canadian. Nonetheless, because black people are stereotypically and notoriously known for not tipping, I over-tip everywhere I go. Even when the service is bad, I'm still gonna tip. Now, if the service is just terrible, if you're just awful at serving, I will physically let you know. And obviously, I'm not going to tip you because tipping is based on performance. Anyways, I hope everybody who needs to see this sees this. Tip your servers when you go out to eat.
I will say that we need to start acknowledging problems that we have in our community instead of just like sweeping it under the rug and try to act like, oh, that's not true. If majority of people are saying that we're having an issue with you, and then you say that that's not true, it couldn't possibly be what you're saying, you kind of start looking like a Amanda Seals. You know how like she keeps saying that everyone else is the problem, but it's not her, and she's always being a victim and everyone just hates on her. No, it's because she's doing something that everyone doesn't like, but she doesn't want to own up to what she's doing. Let's not be like her. Let's own up to what we're doing. We're not tipping. You know that these people work off of tips. You know that people are going to treat you badly if you do not tip. So don't be surprised when you return to that restaurant and people treat you like dirt. And as far as her calling black people Canadians and she's a black person, I kind of eye rolled that. I don't agree with that whatsoever. But what I will say is that in the restaurants when I was working and like black people did come in, I was a bartender, but they would sit at a booth. And a lot of people would sit in the back because they did not want to serve black tables, to the point where they would let black people sit in hopes that they would leave, because no one wants to serve someone and then get $1 or get ran ragged and have a headache. So we have to acknowledge these problems that we're having, and we need to start to try to do better. Otherwise, we're going to complain about something and nothing's going to get done about it. I have one more video that a couple more videos I'm going to attach, and then I'll add more commentary.
The main stereotype that you hear is they don't tip well. The standard tip is 20%, right? If you're going to tip, the standard is 20%. A lot of African Americans don't tip at all. Listen, I'm a restaurant server and I'm a black one, right? So we work for people's change, and I don't care what ethnicity you are. So with me working for tips, that means I don't see skin color. All I see is money. So I don't have a reason to lie. And I could honestly say, as a server, when I go out and dine somewhere, you always tip based on service. I don't care. I stand by that. You tip based on service. You receive good service, please tip accordingly. You receive bad service, please tip accordingly. Boom. African Americans, not all, but the majority, and I'm talking at least 80%, do not tip appropriately. A lot of them don't even tip at all, okay? The number 2 stereotype, they are very cheap. They will run you ragged, be mean to you, and be rude to you for you not to even receive a tip, for them not even to, you know, spend a lot on their bill. They'll be asking, oh my God, the mac and cheese is $7. Oh my God, they mean to you, right? And I see it all the time. I can honestly say I see it happen to my Caucasian co-workers a lot. I work in the exact same industry.
As a result of black people not tipping, this next video sums up how people will begin to treat us because of our non-tipping culture. So this woman says that, not this woman in the picture, this is the woman that I feel like is the face of not taking responsibility for the things you do and your behaviors, and just trying to act like it's everyone else. And that's how we're behaving when it comes to the tipping. But anyway, this next video shows a woman saying that she was mistreated by a waiter because he assumed she wasn't going to tip. And that I honestly think that's the result of him constantly not being tipped by black people and having to serve us, and people be nasty to you from the hood and they think that's the normal way to talk to people. But all right, guys, I'm going to let this last video play, but let me know in the comment section below what you think about this whole topic. But I got to be honest, in my personal opinion and from my experiences, and yes, this is anecdotal evidence, a majority of us are not tipping. We need to make sure we do that so we can make this stereotype completely just disappear, and we can move on to other things that we have that we could be working on as a community. And it's starting off small and working up big, up the ladder of things that we need to work on, is making progress towards something better. We can't just start at the very top. The small things will make us a more likable and happy community. Like once we start getting better service, I feel like the dining experience would be a lot happier and a lot more pleasant for black folks. But yeah, like I said, this will be the last video, video I attached to this for this topic. And let me know in the comment section below.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I don't give into the pressure of trying to prove stereotypes wrong. So when it comes to tipping, I try to be really good about it. Even when I get bad service, I'll still tip. You just might not get that great of a tip. However, there was one time that I did not tip at all, and I will never apologize for it. I went out to eat with a white friend, and we had a white waiter, and as he's greeting us, asking what drinks we want, his back is turned towards me the entire time. Even when I direct a question to him, he's facing my friend, answering my question. So when he walks away, I look at her, I'm like, you see this, right? And she's like, no, he's definitely acting weird towards you. So I decide to test him a little bit. After we finish our water, I call him over and ask for refills. He takes her water first, brings it back before he picks up my cup. When he brings my cup back, he plops it down hard enough that water splashes out. It's not a big splash, but enough to see that there's a difference in the way that he's waiting on her versus me. Shortly after, her food comes out, and only her food. He walks away from the table and is gone for like a good 10 minutes, and he does not stop to say, you know, it's coming soon, sorry about the wait, nothing. He's just gone. When my food finally does come out, he again plops my dish in front of me. So once we finish, we ask for checks. And this is my favorite part. I'd say a good 15 minutes go by while my food is sitting in front of me. During that 15 minutes, he takes my friend's dishes, brings her check, does the entire transaction before he takes my dishes. Everything that he does, he serves her first. So once I pay for my meal, I grab a crayon because the tablecloth is like paper, probably for like kids to draw on and stuff. And I give him written tips on how he could improve his service.